Hey, everybody.
Hey, this is Brent. This is a momentous occasion right now.
Why is it a momentous occasion?
This is the last time we're going to be feeding into a Crusade episode.
Crusade for the first time is done.
It's done. So right up here, like on our thing, I put a little Crusade logo, and you're not going to see that anymore. It makes me sad.
I'm very sad because Crusade, despite all the studio interference, like what got put out was really good.
Yeah.
Like really, really good. And I'm just sad we're not gonna get the rest of the show. Like,
and we've been made privy to some of the written but unproduced scripts, and some good stuff in there. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So uncool.
Yeah.
So you're back to normal almost. Look at you.
Well, normal would not be the case. In the new digs is the case.
Well, I'm just looking like at your mic, and I know you're going into your normal rig and everything now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't like, I can touch the desk without it all booming into the microphone. I don't have my kid's unmade up bed behind me and dirty laundry or whatever he may or may have back there. So, oh man, is Brent going to play us a piano ballad? No.
Might happen.
Ben asks if we're going to play a piano ballad.
Would be a chromatic ballad if he did.
I guess I could. So I might be able to get through chopsticks.
Where do I start?
Yeah. I might be able to find middle C. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. My kid is the piano player. My wife does a little bit, but my kid's the thing. So,
we're not getting paid by them, but Duolingo teaches music and does a pretty fair job.
Do they really?
Yeah.
No clue.
They do math now. They do music. Like, they have a lot of extra stuff on there, and they do pretty well.
I like this. Suzanne's Brent's man office has an extension. It's bigger on the inside now. Yeah, you have no idea.
It's very TARDIS-y.
Right.
Bigger on the inside.
It feels so claustrophobic right now to me.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
it's just a different space than you were expecting.
It is a different space. I got to figure out what I'm going to do. I may re-angle some stuff and get some different things, but we'll see. We'll see how it's all going to work as we go through. So with that, let me quick say, cause we're 2.5 to 3 minutes into this thing. I want to say hello to YouTube. You guys, thank you so much for joining us. What you're seeing here is the behind the scenes of Jeff and I recording an audio podcast as we go through this whole deal. People we're talking to, though, these are our some of our Patreon members that are Council Chambers tier. So hello to you folks. I see Nia over there, Ben's over there. I see Suzanne, Sarah's over there.
Good
I don't know who else. It's a bunch. Hey, listen, the way this works, you guys over there, you keep talking, you keep commenting. We're going to come back to your all's comments a little bit later after the show, after Jeff and I get done recording the audio side of this. That being said, you've heard Jeff say this is our final Crusade episode. Yeah. Final Crusade episode. So I'm excited to be here, Jeff, because the sad part is Crusade's going to be done. You know what the really good part about this whole thing is, though?
What's that?
We're one step closer to Babylon 5 for the second time.
God, so true.
I'm so excited to get into Babylon 5 for the second time. I'm so excited for you guys to join us for Babylon 5 for the second time. It's going to be a whole new ride. And I know people like, well, I'm going to watch people talk about this show for watching it for the second time because it's Babylon 5. And we're going to be checking out all the stuff we couldn't know about on our first watch. We're going to see how much we can dive into it the way you guys have gotten into it and done all that.
All those things you literally screamed at us about. We're going to have the opportunity to yell at ourselves.
Yes.
What was wrong with you?
We'll be doing that with you. So, all of that is coming up very, very soon. But Jeff, for right now, we got to talk about this episode Crusade. You guys are getting all the behind the scenes with that. So Jeff, let's go ahead and kick this off. Rules of the game, episode 13.
Let's play this awful theme music for the last time.
So what is to be gained by fighting?
Maybe nothing. Maybe a lot. I'd like to be the one to make that decision.
I want you to know that this thing just made a very large dent in my ship.
The year is 2024.
The name of the podcast, Babylon 5.
for the first time.
Welcome to Babylon 5 for the first time, not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin.
And I'm Brent Allen. You know, Jeff and I were two veteran Star Trek nerds that were all about Star Trek, and everything we did was all about Star Trek and how awesome Star Trek was and how superior Star Trek was to everything. And we thought we'd give this show, Babylon 5, this lowly little rip-off show, dime store Star Trek. We thought we'd give it a shot and we'd do the Star Trek thing and we'd overanalyze it, and we did it. And you know what happened? Turns out it's awesome. And it's amazing, and it's not dime store Star Trek. Star Trek is dime store Babylon 5. We fell in love with it so much. Okay, gosh, I just feel like I lost everything by saying that. But regardless of that, we fell in love with the show so much that we decided we had to keep it going with the spinoff show Crusade for the first time.
We're keeping it all going. Everything we do, we're going to look for those messages, those morals, those meanings that all the episodes have inside of them. And we're going to double down, triple down, actually, on this not being a Star Trek podcast, because we play the Rule of Three, a game that limits us to no more than 3 references to Star Trek per episode.
That's it. 3. Uno, dos, tres. No substitutions, exchanges, or refund.
And Jeff, what happens if we make one of those references to that other dime store show?
You're going to hear this. Hey, Brent.
Hey, Jeff.
We have a 5-star review.
Oh, yes.
On Apple Podcasts. This is from Chris in NZ.
Is that like
says,
New Zealand?
That's my guess, yeah.
10 points if you do this whole thing with a New Zealand accent.
I'll get 0 points.
20 points if you do it with a New Zealand accent.
I'll get 0 points.
Everyone's got a price, Jeff. 30 points if you do it with a New Zealand accent.
I just don't want to offend anyone, and I know that I will 4 words. So.
All right, you probably better not. 30 points to not do it in a New Zealand accent.
There we go. I'll take that. I've been listening to B5 podcasts since about 2007.
Dude, that was I'm sorry,
one.
let me stop. I want to stop. That's a guy that was listening to podcast when we still understood what the word podcast meant.
Yes. Yeah. There was a reason it had a pod. This guy's a first one for podcasts.
Yeah.
Wow. It's about 2. There were Babylon 5 podcasts back then. Like, that's incredible.
Right.
What a time. What a time. So back in 2007, I think this is the best one so far.
Yeah.
The guys come from a background of analyzing hundreds of Star Trek episodes and apply that to B5 and come up with surprisingly smart and thoughtful analyses. And they're regular like clockwork with their podcast posting. Highly recommend.
Hey, listen, Chris in New Zealand, thank you so much. That is high praise, Jeff.
Yeah.
Been listening
highest.
since 2007, and he says we're the best. I can't disagree.
Well, I don't.
You know,
we're the best of what we're the best of us.
Yeah.
There's what I love about Babylon 5 podcasting is there's something out there for everybody, right? If you like this style or that style, there are great podcasts out there. There are so many in our league of non-aligned podcasts that are active right now or have been active recently that are just fantastic podcasts. There's a lot of really great options out there. So I don't know if I'd say best, but we're the best amongst you and me.
Jeff, I hate to do this. I need just a moment, pal.
Okay.
I'm going to let you vamp just a moment for our wonderful YouTube folks out there.
Sounds good. I got that. Hi, everybody. I'm making sure he doesn't leave anything because that makes editing so much more difficult for me when he does that. But little insight into stuff that's going on. If you are here on the YouTube and whatevering, make sure you stick around to the end. We're going to talk about our programming from here now that we're through Crusade. What I will say, we've talked about it a little bit, but just to confirm, we're going to we're going to talk about JMS's autobiography, Becoming Superman. And both Brent and I are currently reading it because we're not just going to read it a week before we talk about it. It's a pretty lengthy book, but already, oh my gosh, I have so many more insights into like character moments and episodes and things like that. It's fantastic. I'm excited to be able to talk about that one. We're still figuring out what that will look like. We've never talked about a book on a podcast or a video like this before, but first time for everything, and it'll be fun. You're back.
I'm so sorry for that.
Don't be sorry.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yep. Interruption. Families, man. Families are a thing. Live
Really
people,
are.
sometimes you can't control the door. You know?
Exactly.
So,
All right. We're rule of 3.
Rule of 3. So we just finished the review.
And along with is where we're at.
And along with. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Told you this is the behind the scenes of how this works. So, all right, here we go. Well, Jeff, along with our game, the Rule of 3, there is another game that we like to play, and it comes up at the end of the show. Jeff, I don't know that we're ever going to run this again. Oh, wait, maybe we will. Anyway, regardless of that, we'll see how this works. Regardless of that, there is another game we tend to like to play at the end of our episodes where we guess what next week's episode is going to be about based on title alone. We don't look at thumbnails. We don't look at reviews or little blurbs about what the episode's about, just title alone. And this is the spot, Jeff, where we revisit our prediction from last week to see how close we were. So, Jeff, what did you say the rules of the game was going to be about, and how close do you think you were?
I thought this was going to be a pretty fun episode, mostly focused on Gideon and Dorina having to cheat to get what they need. I think this was a pretty fun episode in a number of ways, and Gideon was
fun.
Some of it was really, really fun. But I was pretty far off on this one. What did you think it was going to be about?
I just said it was going to be Gideon having to game the system and making one big last, hurrah. It wasn't really a system he was gaming. Honestly, who was gaming the system was Eilerson in this one.
For sure.
So, but
he did have a hurrah.
Definitely Gideon had a hurrah too. Everyone got hurrahs. Studio interference at its finest. Oh, Jeff. Well, listen, I wasn't really that close. You weren't really that close. However, for the folks out there who may not have seen this episode in a while, or maybe they didn't even bother watching it because it's just Crusade, but they're hanging out with us anyway. Why don't you let the folks out there know exactly what this episode was about?
Brent, we're on Babylon 5. Eilerson and Chambers are slumming it, walking around, while Gideon teams up with Lockley to negotiate with the Brakiri to land on a planet called Lorca 7 to investigate possible connections with the plague. Remember that plague thing this show was apparently about? Well, Max tries to be a super tough guy. In front of Dr. Chambers, we meet Cynthia Allen, his ex-wife. The negotiations are not going well with Gideon, so Lockley connects Gideon with representatives from the world itself, sidestepping the Brakiri completely. That doesn't seem to help either, though. The Lorcans are a very pure, morally superior people. Reese and Pollux tout the most holy, while Pollux tells Gideon, no, not the one. Frustrated, they leave the Lorcans and go to dinner. But the Lorcans have a really subtle drone. It's really stealthy watching them. There's no possible way anyone could ever see that thing flying around. But seeing that they're going to be persistent and they're going to keep trying finding ways to land, they decide to kill Gideon because, I'm sure they must not have had any other options available to them. Max, off on his own, drops in on his ex. He finds out his cat, Mr. Kitty, is doing well. But Cynthia's not. She's broke. The quarantine has killed her business, so she took out a loan for $50K from a loan shark. So now she owns $100K. And despite her being the one that left the marriage, she expects Max to pay the shark. This dude named Rolf Mueller. And Max agrees to help. He finds this Mueller guy, hands him $50K, and tells him to call it good. But to no one's surprise, he wants the whole $100,000. Max doesn't threaten him because he doesn't threaten people, but he basically threatens him that he'll be in a lot of trouble if Mueller comes after that interest. Gideon and Lockley are slowly sparring. Entendre, double entendre, outright flirting. They're playing the game, and they're playing it well. They end up trying to out-diversity each other, leading to them taking a stroll through Down Below in their civvies. Lockley gives Gideon enough rope to hang himself, and he totally does. She's down here all the time, and the people even know who she is. She is of the people and for the people. So Gideon eats his words while Lockley eats a Drazi barbecue sandwich. I wonder, is it the Drazi that are the more vinegary barbecue, or I forget where that's from. Doesn't really matter though, because I'm really having a hard time reading this today. All right, here we go. It doesn't really matter though. What does matter is that the Lorcans have tracked them down. So they start blasting, and in what is the absolutely worst fight choreography of the series so far, and that's saying a lot, they knock them out and they get away. Mueller, in the meantime, doesn't threaten. He just does. He's kidnapped Mr. Kitty. And now Max means business. He sends Dr. Chambers to hang out with his ex, and she spills all the dirt on Max, who's digging through some weapons in his closet and paying off some Drazi. But we do find out why he sent Chambers to hang out. Mueller drops by, and she straight punches him out, running him off. But now he's really mad. Not mad enough to fight off the Drazi Max paid off, though. They get done with him, and we're down to Max and Mueller. Max shoots some neck bondage thing from the weapon he pulled out, and now Mueller is tagged. If he comes within 10 feet of him or Cynthia, he gonna explode. Lockley and Gideon get into her quarters, where she has a shower with real, hot, running water. Between the allure of that and the allure of their incredible chemistry, they get it on. Finally it happened. To quote now President John Sheridan, woohoo!
Oh my God, you did that.
Yeah. Shortly after that,
great. I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
how could I
That's
not do
great.
that? That was right in the strike zone,
That's
right
so
there.
good. I love that.
Woohoo?
Oh, I love that.
Shortly after, a different Lorcan shows up and gives permission for them to land on the planet, hoping their impurity will lead to temptation and test the Lorcan's faith. Brent, was your faith tested at all while you watched the rules of the game?
Jeff, I got to tell you something about this episode. I didn't like it.
Really?
Did not like it. I loved this episode.
Oh, okay.
I loved this episode. I got to tell you, the last bunch of weeks, we have not been in what we'll call JMS episodes. It's been other writers. This episode is a JMS episode, and it felt like it. His voice, his style, maybe we've just gotten used to it. It's like we just know it now. You know what I mean? Like
comfortable.
It is. It's comfort, and it's like we're in the hands of somebody who knows what the hell he's doing,
and who knows the characters.
Exactly. And he knows how to write, and he knows what's going on. And I'm not saying that the other ones did a bad job. It's just, this is what we've come to know. This is what we've come to expect from a JMS production. And it was just so good to be back, not just to be back in those hands, but it just felt familiar, and it was good. It was so much fun. It looked like the characters, the actors were having fun with their roles in this, despite whatever interference they may or may not have had from the studio. I don't know where in the order they produced this episode. Listen, you and I are watching this episode as the final episode of Crusade. We're well aware it may not have aired this way. This is what JMS told us to watch at the very end. This was his order we followed.
One of his orders.
One of his orders, because he has a few. Right. Here's the thing. And most surprisingly, this is the part that surprises me the most. Do you know what the best part of this episode was for me?
What was that?
Max.
Really?
For everything we've given Max so far in this series, I loved him in this episode. This showed us exactly what we knew and what we thought about Max, that he was going to start one way and he was going to end a whole different way. And this was an episode that was meant and designed to be that first big Like, let's get to know him, his past, what really makes him tick, because it's not working for IPX. That's not what really makes him go around. And even the guy, I'm sorry, I don't even know the actor's name. What's his name? Okay, whatever it is, people are throwing it down in the comments right now. Whatever it is, this is the first time I've enjoyed his portrayal of the character. Because I've not liked the way the actor has portrayed Max. You know, as opposed to like Richard Biggs. You know, we didn't like Franklin at first. Loved his performance though. I've not been a big fan of the performance so far. But in this one, I was like, yes, I am in. This is the guy they cast, and I can see why they cast him finally in this role. So I loved everything about this episode. There's only one thing that I am just so disappointed with. And it's knowing that this is the end and we don't have anything more to go. How about you, Jeff? What'd you think?
As the episode went on, I disliked Max more.
Really?
More. Until this one moment where everything turned around for me.
Yeah.
And I got him. I connected with him and I understood this character for the first time. I agree. This story that started off just seeming so over the top, ridiculous and dumb was heartfelt. I cared about it. It was amazing. I mean, Gideon and Lockley are going to be the top of any episode they're in. They're just the magic they have together is that. But this episode was absolutely amazing because of Max Eilerson.
Yeah.
And it blows me away that I'm saying that, but you're right. Everything clicked with this character. And to this point, and this is one of the things I'm interested in because I think this was produced earlier. I think the black uniform episodes are from earlier, and then the gray episode ones were late. I don't know. Could be the opposite. Either way, he didn't change how he portrayed Max after this. So, but it's that glimmer of hope that like he could have been such a compelling character had the show been able to continue. Yeah. But yeah, I loved this episode just like you.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I can't even track with what I was thinking of the Max character through the episode. My thoughts are all, here's how I felt about it at the end. So maybe I tracked with you. Maybe I didn't track with you. I don't know. Those of you that watch the Brent Watches video, you guys probably know. But gosh, man, you know what might have made this episode so much just really good? The fact that we were on Babylon 5.
It felt like we were home.
It did.
That said, I want to get a glaring thing out of the way though. Being on Babylon 5, seeing Drazi walking around, we saw Narn, you know, like, oh, these are the people, the area we're familiar with, but that mother effing soundtrack just grated so much harder because it does not belong there. Like it just stood out and it was so bad. Okay. Now we can talk about the good stuff. But it is definitely that whole Babylon 5, the station as a character. When Lockley and Gideon go to Down Below, we know what's up.
We know where,
like,
and we know, here's the thing, we know where it is.
Yeah.
We know where it is. Like you remember back when we were first watching Babylon 5, well into the second season, Jeff?
We wanted a map.
Yeah, we're like, I don't know where we are. I still feel that way about the Excalibur. You throw me stuff in the Excalibur, I have no idea. Where is the bridge on the ship? Show me the outside of the ship and point to the spot where the bridge is. I think I might have figured it out. Do what now?
Yeah. They'd show it a couple times.
Would they?
The bridge. Yeah.
Maybe not.
It's in a very safe spot. Like I'm sure it would never get blown up by anything where it is.
The only thing that I'm pretty sure I know is where that big long tube subway thing is.
That's probably this part.
And that goes right down the very long round shaft.
Brent's 12.
If you're just now figuring that out, you haven't been paying attention. No, but my first two notes are, we're actually on Babylon 5 It feels so good.
So good.
Yeah. There was a line right at the beginning where I think it was Lockley who said it and says something to the effect of, yeah, some things last longer than they should.
That was Max.
Or that was Max. Max said that. And I was like, is that like a little B5 meta thing about things, you know, things lasting longer than it should?
He did say Babylon 5 was one of those things.
Yeah, it was one of those things that lasted longer than it should. I mean, and what I mean by that is not Babylon 5 outstayed its welcome and just should have gone away a lot sooner, but for all the troubles that Babylon 5 came up against as a show, as a production, and the fact that they made it to the end, you know, and I'm thinking of that little card that's right at the end of what was it, Objects at Rest, which is like JMS, just a big middle finger to everybody. Who's like, to everybody who said we couldn't make it, dunk. Right. You know, this one's for you. I don't know. I liked that little line.
I want to talk about the Lorcans a little bit.
The most holy one.
Most holy.
Okay.
Do you know who the actor is that played Pollux?
Not the one. He's not the one.
Zathras, baby.
Yeah.
Zathras.
Would never have known.
Nope.
Never would have known. I saw his name in the opening credits and I was like, oh, look, Tim Chote. I was like, wasn't that Zathras? That was. Had no idea who it was in the show. Like, I'm trying to figure out who it was. I was listening for the voice. I was listening to what. It turns out he's kind of short.
Very. Like, alarmingly.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
He went out of his way to change his voice to make sure it wasn't even close.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know who the other guy was, but whatever.
Reese. His name was Reese.
No, like the actor. I don't know who the
same. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't recognize his name.
Yeah. Here's the thing. What'd you think of the Lorcan makeup?
They looked sick.
They did. Absolutely. I didn't like it. I said I loved everything about this episode. I didn't like this particular makeup. It probably looks like what the makeup designer wanted it to look like, but it just
didn't work.
Yeah.
It was the little, like, the little lesion growth things didn't look like they were healthy, and their hair.
Yeah.
That hair has not seen conditioner in a very long time.
Yeah, it was not. But here's the thing. Maybe that's how they were supposed to look. They were supposed to look sickly. They were supposed to look grungy or dirty or whatever. Maybe that's just how they were supposed to look.
I think it is. I think one of the things that I found to be disappointing, I'm not going to say with this episode, but I'll say with the Crusade that we've seen, is we got to see some brand new aliens, which is cool. 2 in 13 episodes, their whole shtick is that they're morally superior. Really? We're gonna play that twice? But what I wonder is, were they kind of unkempt and gross because they felt they were above having to worry about those pesky things like hygiene? We're
or
so
not
superior.
Not even just hygiene, but just above. Like, because you can be clean and still look, you know,
disheveled.
So just above a hairbrush or kemptness. Or
there are stories about Leonardo DiCaprio, and the story is that he was between movies at one point, and he was just hanging out in L.A., standing on a street or whatever, and someone handed him $1 and was like, "Hey, buddy, you know, go get something to eat." Because when he's not working, he just lets himself go. I don't know that to be a fact, but that's what they say. But when he shows up for a movie, right, he shows up for his job, he does what he's got to do and takes care of himself. I almost think that's these guys. They're just like, we don't have to dress up for you. You're humans,
right?
Babylon 5ians. Ugh.
Yeah, you're beneath us. It's that, like, you wake up in the morning, you know, you haven't showered yet, you haven't whatever, you're just going downstairs to get a cup of coffee or whatever, and you don't care who comes out of the door. Kids, spouse, whatever. If you're staying in my house, dude, you're gonna see me in my pajamas and not looking great and whatever. I don't care. Like,
morning.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's how you're gonna say to morning. You know. Do you want to go ahead and talk about the rest of the Lorcans deal and their whole
Yeah,
Fist of
let's get
Fate
them.
thing? Let's get them done. So the two Lorcans are like, yeah, we've got to take out. They make a decision to take him out.
In a
like,
heartbeat.
That was a hard like jump, right? And they put the little thing in their hand, and my first was, are they going to hand blast Gideon and Lockley? And that's exactly what they were trying to do.
It is.
I'm like, are these guys Gould? What in the world?
I called it Logan's Run. Like as soon as he slapped it on, I was all identify.
Right.
But ozone, apparently it generates. That thing's got a lot of kick.
Yeah.
What a dumb weapon, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to be accurate with this? Like,
Well, Iron Man's accurate with that. Although he probably has like internal guidance systems within his suit.
Well, he's in a, so I just for fun, do this. Like, put your wrist up like you're going to shoot and then look at it. It's not a 90-degree angle.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're kind of down a little. So in order to go 90 degrees, you got to like creak your arm back a little bit.
Get all weird. Just, I don't know. New tech. Ooh, there you go.
Well, they just implanted it into their skin. Like, it's like that's weird. That's weird. So they go through the whole thing. They, we have the pew pew pew, which was in Act 4, not Act 5, which I thought was real weird. But I loved it. The placement of it was good.
It was so bad. There's this scene where they're walking.
Come on, Jeff. Come on,
Brent.
Come on.
They're walking down the hallway, right? And they've got Lockley or whatever. And then Gideon grabs this parallel bar thing and swings clearly straight between them. Like he swings between them and keeps going. But the next scene is them getting kicked in the back and rolling. It's just like, oh my God. What?
I didn't mind
I had to go back.
I saw it, but I didn't mind it. I had
to go back and watch it like 3 times. I'm like, is this seriously happening? I can't believe this.
Maybe I'm just okay with the cheese factor in this show at this point. Like,
it's awful.
Call it out for
it's
what
so
it is.
Awful. Well, that, and even like later on, we're at a different topic, but Chambers, when she goes and gacks dude.
She's got a black belt in ninjutsu, man.
So apparently she really is like a high-level trained martial artist and a stunt person. Mm-hmm.
Wow, good for her.
But that punch was, I mean, in TV, they punch like this far away, like there's inches between the person's face and the hand. They just forgot to change camera angles. And you could just see
it. Oh, yeah.
Daylight. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Oh.
It wasn't good.
Oh.
But again, I mean, like, what do you expect from a show like this at this point? Like,
right. Yeah, that's true. But yikes. I was pretty surprised at the deal the Lorcans had with the Brakiri. So the Brakiri, make sure they don't get attacked, and then they stay out of their thing for 10% of their planetary revenue.
That's
you know how much money that's got? Like, that's, wow.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're being extorted, to be extorted for just 10%, that's
not so bad.
It's not so bad. And by the way, isn't that completely on brand for the Brakiri?
True.
Like Brakiri and Drazi, both of them, like
kind of filthy.
Yeah. Members of the Alliance.
Or do you have a theory as to who the most holy is? Or what the most holy is?
A mythical creature that doesn't really exist. Or it's the Great Egg.
A Great Egg. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Great Egg.
Yes. They kind of look like the people from
a little bit.
Had the ratty hair and stuff.
Could have that whole like Romulus and Riemann thing, like similar thing, just diverged a little bit.
They just don't have as much access to the sun, so they're a little more
exactly. They're from the dark area.
Mm-hmm.
They're from the dark area. But now with all the new technology that they're getting, they can just kind of come out on their own.
So like 500 years ago, the current population just disappeared, right? Like, oh, they're gone. And then they showed up and took it. Maybe the other population disappeared because they tried to do medical care for them and it made their souls just fly out.
Well, that's what happens when you cut them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if you do it to their children, then they kill their own children.
They do.
Like for realsy.
For reals. I love that idea. That's great.
That's all I got, man.
Yeah.
It's here's the thing though, to fast forward. So they go through their whole deal. I mean, pull it right out of a page of any newspaper article these days. A religious figure turns murderer, all in the name of their most holy. They go through the whole thing. The new Lorcan comes in, who's like, yeah, it turns out they're not good. They were extorting. They were just trying to stay in power. They were doing all of this. We're going to welcome you. We're going to welcome you, not because we're awesome, but actually because we're still more religious and holier than thou. We just now need to prove it to ourselves by letting you come in and try to tempt us. And here's the thing, Jeff, I'm listening to that and I'm going, oddly, there's a weird kind of logic behind the Lorcan's test of faith idea there. Like, if you really believe that you're that much holier than other people, right? Then testing your faith is not like that works. That,
to quote Michael Eddington,
yeah,
it's easy to be a saint in paradise.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a testing of faith, a real testing of faith. So
yeah, I didn't hate that response from him. I mean, the way he said it when
it's so schmoozy. It is so schmoozy and it's so arrogant.
So arrogant.
It's so arrogant. And it is probably by all rights, and I've never read their religious text, but it's probably so against the actual faith that they proclaim to follow, but it's got to be right there in the deal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but yeah, those are the Lorcans.
Yeah. Rather forgettable, like Alien of the Week kind of guys.
Only thing I'm going to remember them for in the end is the little Logan's Run hand blasty things.
I'm just going to remember that Zathras was one of them.
I actually forgot that while we were talking about that.
Oh, did you?
It's not a high mark for him. Not
you know
a high
what?
mark.
They're not the one.
They're not.
Although I will say this, so because he was Pollux, right? The little one,
Yeah,
the little short
the
one.
little one.
He wasn't saying a whole lot at the beginning, but when he did start talking, of I think we saw 3 Lorcans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of the episode, he was the one that I was like, that's the best actor of the 3 of them.
What I liked about him in his hand gesture for the most holy is there was no belief behind it. He, like, instead of like wiping around his face and then putting his hands up like wings, he like kind of up and down and threw like his fists up, which I think really bounced well when we found out they weren't good people. Like they weren't living by the code of these people. He's like literally, yeah, most holy, whatever, do the thing. Okay, move on. And I want to believe that was an acting choice. And that makes it great.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you make a mistake or you do something weird, but you do it on purpose, and you made the choice to do it, then you're a genius. If you didn't, then you're an idiot.
Like to say in music, we say once is a mistake, twice is jazz.
What's thrice?
Now you're just doing the thing. Now you're just playing jazz. So.
Gotcha. So to go back to what started this whole thing, they're like, where are Lockley and Gideon? Oh, they're negotiating. And I had a note like, what do you mean negotiating? Are they negotiating? And then, no, they actually were negotiating with a Brakiri.
For real.
And then the Brakiri gets in there, and Jeff, I'm telling you, it was longer than a split second. I could have sworn it was Bill Mumy.
Really?
Playing the Brakiri. I would have sworn it was him.
Is he the one? There was someone I thought was played by Bill Mumy. It might have been. I might have thought the same thing.
It was the Brakiri. I was like, that's Bill Mumy. That's Bill Mumy. Oh, he's not back as Lanier. He's this new guy, and that's kind of cool that they brought him in to do this role. Like, that's fun. No, it wasn't him at all. But
nope.
I was like, oh. Can I say
I
this?
found it.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, I found it fun because I thought the same thing. Oh, are they negotiating this? But every time they meet has nothing to do with the last time they met.
Yeah.
Like they're always kind of starting over a little bit, which when you think about like, hey, we wrote these 13 episodes, we're going to produce them, and knowing it was canceled before it went, they're literally like, who cares? Who cares? Just go in and do whatever you want to do.
So of the three meetings that we've seen with them, okay, are we agreed that the middle one we saw, the conference on Mars, that should be their first meeting?
Yes.
Right?
Because when he saw her in bed, when she got all Starfury blowed up, there was some familiarity there.
A little bit, right? So that should have been like the second one. You know, he's like, oh, have you ever come to Babylon 5? You know, let's have dinner or whatever. And now we're seeing on Babylon 5.
Clearly.
A lot more. Yeah.
This is the return of the Jedi of the Gideon Lockley trilogy.
Exactly. And they're going through that. I got to tell you, she tells him like, hey, let's go get dinner. She says, I know a good place for dinner. And I said this, I said, if that place is any other place than her quarters, I'm going to be so disappointed in her. And Jeff, you know what? I am so disappointed in her because it was actually a restaurant. It's like,
open air restaurant. Yeah,
man. Because we've seen that dinner in her quarters before, and she's not a stranger to taking him there.
She's not. No.
And okay, I'm going to say this. I was so amped up, and and I don't mean this in a lewd way. All right. You and I have been on this Lockley Gideon train since the word go.
Oh, 100%.
We're like, that's a relationship that needs to happen. I am for that happening. And it works. The way Tracy Scoggins and Gary Cole play off each other. Oh my God. So good.
It's incredible.
So good. To see them going like 100 miles an hour in this episode in their relationship I'm so glad that prior to this show ending and getting canceled, we got some fireworks in the Gideon Lockley thing.
Agreed.
You know, and and here's the thing, we didn't even see any. We saw like a silhouette or something. Whatever. It's not that. Like, it's not that we saw anything. I just, in my mind, I need to know that those two are a couple, and so to speak, or at least they're coupling, and that relationship could potentially continue or face issues as they go on down the road. I don't care, but still.
But they're it's not going to face issues because you know what they did? This was I almost think I should talk about this in the messages portion, but Brent, they communicated with each other and they defined what their relationship is going to be.
They had a DTR.
They did, but it's so mature and so good. They're going to be just fine. When I watched this the first time, I lost my mind when it finally happened. And that buildup, when they're like the way the tempo of that scene moved was perfection. And it came to a crescendo at the perfect time. And I cheered and I popped. But what I said, I am a famous anti-shipper. There's no reason for almost anyone in any show to ever get together, in my opinion. It ruins the show. I'm watching in my spare time Abbott Elementary, which is just like this ABC kind of throwaway neat school show. Stop trying to put these two characters together. You've got a great show. Just stop. They used a whole season of it. But in this, 3 episodes, this was earned. It was real, and it built. It happened, and they tied a bow on it on the end. If anyone's ever going to write an intense romance, this is the model of how to do it. It was perfect. I mean, I loved it so much. I was so excited. I'm still so excited for them. Like, God, it's great.
I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. And I like how they left it. You got to go do you. I got to go do me. And
see you when I see you.
So, Jeff, I'm in the middle. One of our upcoming episodes in the next several weeks from when we record this is going to be the autobiography of JMS.
Yes.
And so I've been going through that book, and he's had a couple relationships, including the one with his wife, where there was kind of like a, look, we're going to have to split because I've got to do my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got like her kind of thing to do. And I wonder if that was inspired by that at all.
I want you to just stick a little pin in that, and we're going to come back to it later in our conversation.
Oh, not like in a couple of weeks, but like tonight?
Tonight.
Great.
Because and not even in the messages as we're talking about the episode.
Great.
We're totally going to talk about that.
Great. So Lockley and Gideon make a bet.
This was great.
And they're going through that. And I'm sitting here going, when they kind of got to the turns, I was like, you know what? This is a bet that Gideon does not mind losing. I promise you, if he loses this, he's not going to mind at all.
Down payment. This is just a down payment.
Right. Right.
It was hilarious. I loved how she played him and just strung him along. You know, she's just talking about, here's how you got to do this. And here's, oh, you think that. And she's like, yeah, okay. All right, sure. Hey, you want to get something to eat? Just.
Right. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Liz.
Right.
Like,
what?
You played me. And my next note after that was, I told you Gideon wouldn't mind losing the bet.
Yeah. He was all right with it.
So they're sitting there eating that sandwich, right?
Which is a callback to the sandwich and a call to in a River of Souls. Is the same one she was eating there with.
Was it really?
Yeah, I thought it was such a great, because she's like, I love this thing. Nobody else ever wants to eat it, but I love it. And it was the same thing.
I did not make that connection. I'm glad you did. I don't even remember her eating a sandwich in River of Souls, to be honest with you.
It's fair.
So
there's not a lot I like to remember from that.
But here's the thing. She tore off half of her sandwich to share with Gideon, and she still had a whole damn sandwich in her hand.
There was a point. She handed it to him, and she's taking a bite, and I'm like, is this like a cartoon where they rip off part, but nothing comes off?
Nothing comes off. It was just like, oh my gosh, that
thing was huge.
Oh my gosh. So shortly after that, the guys come in trying to do the hand blasty thing. To go back to what you were saying earlier about the fight choreography and everything, there's a barrel. And Gideon turns around and he does this leap over the barrel.
Yes.
Which was, oh my God. It was so, it was so goofy. I loved it. I was here for it. I'm here for it. But oh my word, it was.
I'm going to amend my statement on horrible fight choreography. I bet the choreography was fine. It was the camera placement for all, like where they had the camera sitting for that leap over the barrel. It's like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
There were times you could see the face of Gideon's stunt double as plain as day. Like it was a total Spaceballs moment.
Oh my! Well, you know what those moments always remind me of, and all right, here's your Star Trek reference. There's an episode of TNG where something's going on down in engineering. I don't know, and they got to evacuate engineering, and so Geordi's down there. It's like, all right, everybody out, and they push a button on a wall, and like a door like comes closing down. You're just like, everybody out, and he's just sitting here looking, and the door's got like 6 feet left to go, and he just does this like stop, drop, and roll like to get underneath the door. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like you could have just ducked and kept moving. It was fine. But this leap reminded me of that. It's just so like, really, you just did that for the leap. you did, and he could have landed in a superhero pose, and it would have just been over the top, man.
Almost as good as Franklin in the med bay leaping through the door at the last second.
That would too, for sure.
My last note on Gideon Lockley was the shower scene happens, and then it immediately cuts to a shuttle flying into Babylon 5.
That was so funny.
And I was like, is this the modern day train into a tunnel scene?
Yeah.
Like, I see you.
Yeah. Hey, while we're talking about B5 and exterior shots of B5, we'll use this as a little bit. All right. First of all, the station looked great, right?
So like
seeing the Excalibur next to Babylon 5, I think for the very first time made me realize just how big the Excalibur is. Because you and I have a scope of how big Babylon 5 is. seeing that right next to it is just like, wow, the Excalibur is huge.
It's got that tri-wing thing in the back, right? And
yeah.
I was thinking as they put it up there, I'm like, you could put Babylon 5 in between two of those rings that would like bracket it. It's so big.
How long is the Excalibur? It's not 5 miles long.
No, I think it's like it's more. It's so they said so many kilometers, but it was definitely less. And you see that really clearly in the side by side shot with them. That Babylon 5 is much longer.
Yeah,
but I just think the relative size overall was just that's a big ship.
It's a big ship. Yeah, I think for the first time I've had an appreciation for just how big the Excalibur. I've always known it's big, but yeah, for the first, I mean, like, yeah, I want to know how many people it takes to crew. We know it's 250,000 beings that live on Babylon 5, call Babylon 5 home and make it operate. I want to know what is the crew complement for the Excalibur, because they've got to have full on restaurants going on in there. Multiple ones have to be going on. Like, I know it looks pretty skeleton crew type, but it's got to be more than that. You know,
it's just so big for sure.
Yeah.
We open up on Babylon 5 with Chambers and Eilerson.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the whole, some things are around for too long, and this is a dangerous, seedy place in Max. This was the first time I was just like, oh my God, is this going to be one of these episodes? He's like, well, in case of trouble, I can fling myself into action at a moment's notice on your behalf. Like, no, what are you, so bad. Max. Them trying to play Max as a tough guy is where I lose Max Eilerson.
Really? Yeah. Man, for the first time I bought him.
I bought him when he was sitting across from Mueller.
Yeah.
But in that moment with Chambers, I'm just like, oh, stop. Are you hitting on her? Because if you are, you should be punched in the face.
Yeah.
This is awful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah.
Can we talk about the most uncool thing ever and maybe in all of television that happened in this episode?
Oh, do tell. I have no idea.
It was Mr. Kitty. Did you watch the credits, the end credits at all?
No. What happened?
Oh my God, Brent.
What happened? What did I miss?
We talk about Mr. Kitty, right?
Like 18 times throughout the whole episode.
Big deal was Mr. Kitty. Mr. Kitty died. There's an in memoriam card that goes up, and it's like for Mr. Kitty from like 1980 something to 1999 rested. And I'm just like, what the are you build us up with Mr. Kitty this whole time, and then you just my heart broke for that cat. I'm just like, what?
Cats lived 19 years? It was
1980 something. I forget whatever it was, but like,
wow.
But he died with the episode. It's like, no. I didn't even like the cat. I thought it was an ugly
Rolf
cat.
Kill him?
Did JMS? He couldn't kill any kids, so he
took out a cat. You know, honestly,
Straczynski'd the cat.
No, he did not. He did not. Because I'm reading his autobiography, and JMS has a thing for cats.
He does,
which is dad, on the other hand, which is sick.
There's a whole. But that is a great segue to where we can talk about the thing.
Yeah,
Max Eilerson is J. Michael Straczynski.
Okay, you need to explain.
He loves cats.
Okay,
he takes a lot of almost arrogant level pride in his intelligence and his view and his whatever. What really hit me though was this line that Cynthia was saying to Chambers about Max. They'd pound him and he'd come back with some smart remark, or they'd pound him again and he'd be a smear on the pavement, still mouthing off.
Yeah,
that's Straczynski.
Yeah.
I think, and he's misunderstood. The character is misunderstood. People think that he's there just for, one thing, but he's actually into deeper stuff. He left his wife because of his attachment to his work, and had a couple of times, back to Gideon and Lockley, but like those times where he had to like, I gotta go. There's this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think Max Eilerson is J. Michael Straczynski's avatar in the story. I think he was going to tell his story through Max Eilerson.
Interesting. And we do know JMS talks about, he's basically writes himself into his stories through his characters. So that's an interesting idea, Jeff. Interesting idea. Do you think JMS, well, I mean, surely he is now, but can he just go drop 50K on his ex just cause?
I'm really curious about that. Actually, I was at first when this happened, I was angry with Max.
Yeah.
Bro, no, don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she was so entitled.
Oh yeah.
She was so angry and entitled. And I'm just like, listen, lady, you're the one that left. Power down. Like, power down. But that story, it started with him being like, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. And then continued through the episode. There was this one moment, and this was the moment that I connected in a meaningful way with Max Eilerson.
Mm-hmm.
And it was near the end. He says something, to Cynthia's like, why would you do this? And, thank you for always doing. He says, look, I've loved 3 things in my life: my work, that damned cat, and you. And then he walks out. Yeah. And as soon as he's out in the corridor, this was the moment he leans up against the wall for a second and he just takes that breath like, keep walking.
Yeah.
Don't let her see you do this and feel this way. And I was just like, you, sir, are... oh my God, I can't believe it. Max Eilerson is what so many men should be. He's not there fighting or making his case. He's just like, I love you and I'm always going to love you and I'm always going to be there for you. And I'm also not going to put any of me onto you. Mm-hmm. You do your thing and I'm going to take care of you from behind.
Also, his wife, probably not that great of a person.
She didn't seem like a good person at all.
No. But his loyalty to her was, and he's even said, like, he's talking to that Rolf guy, and Rolf called him out on it too. I was glad that they did that in the episode. He's like, my wife, you're just from my wife. Like, she's not your wife anymore, though, bub. But
to him, she is.
Yeah.
Max is a man of deep faith, where he's like, you know what, our contract might be done, but we're still connected and married, and I'm going to honor that all the way through.
Yeah. And that's the thing that brings all this bravado out in him, this badassery that Eilerson is just lurking below the surface, that really comes across as just sleazy, scummy, whatever, is actually, there's so much more there that you and I both knew was lurking beneath the surface. We just didn't know if we'd see it or if it'd come out or anything like that.
And there it was. Like, he's a deep individual. He's pained. He had a hard childhood. Like, he didn't learn how to socially interact. We've seen that as social interactions are for bupkis, but like, he just cared, and it was just like, oh, I'm so into Max Eilerson after this episode. Yeah.
And I got to tell you, at the end, when she's just like yelling at him, like, I can't believe this is going to be my life. And I can't believe you only gave him $50,000 and blah, 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 blah. And then she stops. She's like, look, I'm sorry for yelling at you and all this. And I was like, I don't think you're really sorry for laying into him like that.
Nope.
I think you understand what you are to him, and you feel total freedom and total entitlement to him. Like, his responsibility is to do this for you. And
I don't think it's the first time she's done that to him, and I'm positive it won't be the last.
No, I don't like her. She's not good for, like I'm now protective of Max Eilerson.
Same.
And I'm sorry if you love her, dude, but she's not good for you. You need to get away.
You can love her and you can support her, and we're going to talk about boundaries, my friend.
And it's not boundaries for you. I mean, it is boundaries for you, but you know what I mean? Like, you're not the one who needs to not be putting on her.
They did such a good job, like piecing this story together early on when like he goes into her quarters and they're talking. She sits down on the couch and he talks to her, and then he sits down next to her and he just reaches to brush her arm and doesn't quite touch. I didn't catch it till I watched this the second time, and he had like a moment on his face. In this one single episode, I was like, this guy has the acting chops to carry this character through. Now we have 12 episodes that say otherwise, but in this one,
Is
like
it,
those
okay,
little
but
subtle
why?
things.
But why, Jeff? What is different in this episode that was not apparent in 12 other episodes? And you can't just say it's because JMS wrote this episode, because he wrote several of the other episodes. Like, what is it that's different at this point?
It's a great question, because what's different is we're seeing the real person who Max is.
Yeah.
And not the character of Max Eilerson, but the character that Max Eilerson puts forward as his shield out in the world.
Yeah.
That's why. That's a great question. That's a great observation. This Rolf Mueller guy, I don't know if you got this.
Go ahead. I don't think you're not going to go where I'm going with this. Go ahead.
I don't think so. No, I promise you I'm not. This Rolf Mueller guy, like, I don't know if this rang for you the way it did for me, but he looked just
Stop it. Stop it. Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon! Yes! Oh my God!
Are you serious?
Yes!
No way.
He looked just like him, like totally like late 90s Vince McMahon.
Yes, he did. It's right here in my notes. This Rolf guy looks like Vince McMahon.
That's incredible. I was so distracting to me the whole time. You give me 50,000 credits, Max?
I can't believe
You're
you said
fired.
that too. Oh, you're fired. You're fired.
Before we got onto the video today, I watched a YouTube thing when Bobby Lashley was talking about do-rag Vince McMahon that happened a little while after. I'm just like, Mueller looks just like this guy.
Oh my word. I can't believe you went there. I cannot believe you did that.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I liked this guy as a bad guy.
Yeah, he was fine.
One of the better, like, 2-bit,
but good. Like, yeah. Yeah.
Better than Deuce. I liked him better,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. This might be the first like bad guy that I actually felt potential danger from. Like when Max is sitting there like just kind of laying into him in the nightclub, and he's just sitting back and he's like, and like Max leaves and he looks at his dudes and he's like, all right, Mr. Eilerson wants to play the game. I got it. Let's go. And then all of a sudden we get a call from like the aunt. It's like, he just came by and took your cat.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. You're going to go get the cat? Really?
That's a guy who's done his homework.
Right?
He knows.
Right.
At the end, near the end of the episode, when the aunt or whoever called again and she's like, oh, he's back and everything's great. She says, I got to go. The kids are screaming for dinner. Were those her kids or Max and Cynthia's kids?
No, I think they were her kids.
Yeah?
I didn't even question that. I absolutely think they were her kids.
That'd be wild if he had kids.
I don't think they would have kids. And honestly, if you're right and Max is the stand-in for JMS himself,
he made sure there's no kids.
No kids. No kids. By the way, I can't wait to talk about that when we get to our autobiography episode. So
I know I felt worried because like I was making these notes, I'm like, I got to save a lot of this stuff for that episode, but this is just such a great example of like, we learned this stuff and it lines up perfectly.
Mm-hmm. So I have one more note out of this whole deal, and it's right at the very end. Max receives a package. And that was a big ass package for a postcard.
A little picture.
For a postcard. That's a picture. That's basically what he got. That's a
Not
big
only-
old package for that.
Not only does Cynthia disrespect Max Eilerson, she has no respect for the environment.
Right?
That was
Right.
way too much tape and packaging.
Universal warming at its finest.
Maybe just email him a picture. It was the late 90s. We could do that back then. Like, give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry. I said it earlier, but like I said, that was not a cute cat.
No.
And it doesn't mean it's not worthy of love or whatever, but like they should have put a cute little, fuzzy thing. And instead it's just like this cat was just literally looking like, okay, well, I guess I'll let you take my picture.
Jeff, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So throughout all the stuff of this episode, right? Fun stuff, more fun stuff, goofy fight sequences that you minded a whole lot more than I did. Lockley and Gideon, Eilerson coming to the forefront. Jeff, all that's fine and well. But the real question, what you and I have set out to do with this show since the very beginning, is to take that analytical lens that we have gained from talking about other shows that are a little bit more dime story than this one, and looking for messages that are found within it, sci-fi type messages that this genre is uniquely positioned to do, messages that hold up a mirror to society, or tell us that things are going to be better in the future, or just tell us how to be better human beings to one another. Jeff, I am curious, did you find any messages throughout the course of this episode?
I found a surprising amount of them, actually. We've talked about some of them a little bit already. What does love really look like for one of them? I think we saw two versions of love in this episode. I think that Gideon and Lockley have a love for each other. It's not necessarily romantic. It's got some romance, some intimacy tied into it. But what brought me around to it being a love was the conversation they had at the end of defining what their relationship was. I think that so many, people, when they come together, come in with preconceived notions or assumptions, and they don't discuss them with the other person. So they end up holding things against a person that's not even the person, right? It's like, I've made this agreement with myself and an idea of you, of what we're going to be, and you're not that thing. So now I'm mad at you. They didn't do that. They showed respect for each other, respect for their relationship by just laying it out. Hey, this was great. I don't regret doing it. And I can't be what you need me to be. Hey, that's fine. I don't need you to be that, and I thought that was incredible. And I think it's a thing that more people need to see and take to heart. And then we saw the other side of love, unrequited love, where Max, loves Cynthia so much and is willing to give of himself for no return. Not only is he not going to get a return, he actively works to make sure he doesn't get one. When he walked out and suffered in solitude and silence for that moment, it was just like, he's just going to be there for her. That's just how it's going to be. Again, there's boundaries and conversations and communications that should happen, but I think that we have a really distorted view in contemporary times of what love is. And I thought these were two really good examples of them. And the thing we've talked about in the past that I ascribe to very deeply, but love is more than a feeling. Love is an action. Love is a verb. Yeah. And we saw that acted out as a verb in both of those instances in really meaningful ways in this episode. Another thing we talked about a little bit was the Lorcans and their moral superiority. I feel like what we saw in this, and this is such a thing that happens in our lives now. There are people, and they're not all religious people, but many of them are, who believe themselves to be above others. And when you think that way, it blinds you to reality. And that's what we saw in the Lorcans. They had no concept of reality, of what was really going on, the politics, the relationships, the anything. They were just focused on how much better they were than anyone else. And they were so quick to jump to killing Gideon, which, to your point, guarantee you in their holy scriptures, it says you're not supposed to do that. But they're superior, Brent, so they can do that. But that feeling of superiority leads to hate. And it leads to hate in a way we've talked about so often. It dehumanizes, humanizes, how racist that is to say in a intergalactic setting. But they didn't see Gideon as being an equal with them, and so it was okay to kill him. It was justified. It's not okay to do that. Like, it's not fine to do that. We saw that here. But then we saw the other side again. We see two sides of things. It's a thing that JMS is excellent at doing in his writing, of just flipping the pancake both ways and letting you see it from different views, which happened in the episode TKO, the pinnacle of season 1, by the way. But this other guy was like, no, they're wrong. That's not how it works. Also, we are saints living in paradise. Come and test us. I thought that was incredible. We are both of the Christian faith. There are many people listening to us and watching us that don't believe in a higher power or a God, and that's cool, or they believe in a different one. They don't follow the Christian faith. But I'm going to talk about Jesus because that's the one I know about. But Jesus didn't go hang out with the people who were doing things, quote unquote, right. Jesus hung out with drug dealers and hookers, and if there was such thing in Jerusalem and Israel and stuff back in the day, he'd be on Skid Row, right? Hanging out with the ne'er-do-wells and the undesirables, putting his faith into action, into the test. And that's what the Lorcans want to do. If you are a person of faith who professes to take care of the needy and the poor and the thing, whatever your faith is or your belief system, and you're not actually like out there interacting with people, the undesirable people, hookers and drug dealers and whatever else, you're not living your faith. And I thought it was great the Lorcans saw that and moved this direction. These were great messages. The last one I had, and it might be my favorite one, and I think it's just maybe because I'm close to it and it's a thing I live in a lot of ways, but this is what Lockley said. It's a mistake to make assumptions about people you've just met. Gideon assumed all these things about Lockley and then just started telling her how it is. My note said he was mansplaining, walking the Gemba. Gemba being the workplace, right? And it's like, dude, this is her turf. Because they have the relationship I talked about earlier, they were able to joke about it and move forward and actually use it as a way to strengthen their relationship. But if you don't have that kind of chemistry with somebody, that's going to ruin your relationship from go. That person's going to lose respect for you because you made assumptions about how they should do things and then took it upon yourself to tell them how to do it. Uncool to do that. Not only, Brent, was this an incredibly fun, entertaining, and great episode, but it was replete with amazing messages that frankly blew me away. Which I get to talk about and did. You, my friend, have the, I'm going to say, enviable task this time of talking about just how great and fun this episode was, because you get to finalize. This is going to be it. Set in stone, objectively correct and immutable ranking of the entire series of Crusade. Currently, I'm going to name off our top 5. Frankly, it'd be weird to me if it didn't land in here. But you get to place this episode where it lands in the ranking. At number 5, we have Appearances and Other Deceits. Number 4 is The Path of Sorrows. 3 is War Zone. Number 2, The Needs of Earth. And in the top spot, for now at least, The Long Road. Brent, where do the rules of the game land?
Jeff, you know what makes a top 5 episode a top 5 episode?
What's that?
Not only is it a good episode, a fun episode to watch, but it's also an episode that does have those messages in it, that does have something to say, that presents that allegory to us in a certain way. And that's when a show really, really takes off. Now, you and I have often said, some of the best episodes of Star Trek are ones that have no messages in them whatsoever. It's just a good episode. Some of the absolute worst episodes of Star Trek are ones that have these big, deep, heavy messages. But the very best are the ones that marry those two ideas together and just give you something to chew on through the whole, like, that leaves you really thinking about that episode as it goes on. I'm glad you found all those messages. You know, this is one of those episodes that I say, instead of having like a single cannon shot to the heart of a message, it's just like, hey, here's this one, and here's this one, and here's this one, and here's this one. And I used to really kind of poo-poo that a little bit, but I still like it. I like what they like, hey, let's just throw this one out there, and we'll throw this one out there, and they're all a part of it. So I love that you did that. This was also a fun episode to watch. I would watch this episode again and eat up every single moment of it, even the cheesy barrel roll thing that happens. You know what I mean? So I liked it. You're absolutely right. This is going to find itself in the top 5, but the question is where? Unfortunately, that means by default, this is going to push out appearances and other deceits. And I just looked back at my notes on appearances and other deceits, and it says in my opening thoughts, this is not going to be a top 5 episode.
Wow.
It has been so far, but you know what? It's not now. So it will be a top 6 episode though, because I really, really liked that episode. Path of Sorrows is such a heavy episode. It's not an episode I want to watch again. But then I looked at Warzone. That episode that JMS hated, didn't even want to do it. They forced him into it. And you and I were like, actually, it's a pretty damn good episode for one you didn't want to write.
Uh-huh.
And then I look at Needs of the Earth. That's the one where Dorina and Gideon went down on that mission to some planet, whatever. And they just had the whole thing going on, you know, and it was such a great episode. So fun. And so many things going on. And then there's The Long Road. And Jeff, I'm almost sad that we saw The Long Road second, because it's just maintained such a high standard for us, I think, for the whole show. I will tell you, Long Road is going to stay as number 1. It's going to stay as number 1. It really is. So the question is, does this become our new number 2, or is this our new number 3? Or is it the new number 4? Because it's not going to be the new number 5.
Okay.
Right. And when I look at this, Jeff, this one right here for me, between Needs of Earth and Warzone, man, I like them. I really do. I like them both, but I think Needs of Earth is going to edge this one out for me just by a hair. So this falls into our brand new number 3 spot, Rules of the Game.
Wow.
And you could convince me to push this one up one, but that's where I'm going to leave this one for now.
Not where I would put it. It's not a bad spot for it. But, I mean, for God's sake, man. Woo-hoo. I rest my case.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're not going to get better than the Technomage episode. It's not going to go up. Would you put it number 1?
I would.
Is that you'd put it number 1?
Yeah.
I struggled with it with the number 2. And I like I said, I looked back at the notes. It's like, I really like that episode too. So, yeah, like I said, you could fight me for being number 2. It's not going to go up number 1 for me. Golden Dragon, Technomage, Galen with old Technomage. See, Jeff, that was just a perfect episode all the way around, man. And
it was pretty great. I just challenge you to watch. I'll give you 2 scenes.
Okay.
Watch the barrel roll in this, and then watch the Golden Dragon in The Long Road, and you tell me which one is more fun to watch. It's the barrel roll. That Golden Dragon was not great. That was not
the effect, but the whole premise behind it. We're gonna throw a Golden Dragon. Oh my God, come on, Jeff.
It's ridiculous.
It's Technomages. It's Technomages. Come on. And it's the old Technomage, like a Golden Dragon. I know exactly who that is. Only one man uses the Golden Dragon. Only one man dares give me the raspberry.
I was going to say the same thing. All right, so number 3 is what you're saying?
You know what? I'll split the difference with you. This will be our new number 2.
Okay. I can live with that. Oh, Brent, I'm about to say something that's going to hurt.
What's that?
We're done with Crusade.
I'm sad.
Yeah.
I'm sad. I'm genuinely
sadness. I have sadness that's rolling into anger.
Yeah.
And then rolling back into sadness. It's dumb that this thing got canceled. It's just dumb.
It is. It is. I'll say this though, like knowing that the show got canceled and knowing that that it's just going to end and it's not gonna whatever. There is a piece of me that's like, I'm glad to have made this journey. I'm glad knowing that it will never end. I'm glad to be here at this spot. And yeah,
like, we weren't going to be here.
No.
Right? When we started this project, we weren't going to be here. And I mean, thank the maker we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So programming note for people, like we're done with Crusade and we're almost done with the first time, just all in all. So I just want to kind of go over really quick what the next couple of weeks are going to look like for us. We're going to finish out the movies. There are 3 more left. And I understand one of them, some people don't call a movie, but there's 3 more specials that we're going to watch. Then we're going to talk about Becoming Superman, JMS's autobiography, which we've been teasing throughout this episode. And then we're going to have a Herculean task as we're going to do a wrap up of the whole enchilada.
The whole franchise.
Whole thing. I'm a little nervous about that.
I feel like we're just getting into it. It was good. All right, what's next?
I liked it a lot. But we're going to dive in next week back into the movies, and we're going to watch Legend of the Rangers for the first time. Brent, do we want to play our game with the movies? Do we want to keep that going?
Might as well. I mean, we did it for the other movies riding in. So that's what I was saying. I was like, yeah, this will be the last time. I was like, actually, no, maybe not, because we still have the movies to go. So
yeah, got a couple more. You're right. So we play a game, our prediction game.
We got 3 things. We got 3 things left, and we will have completed the entire Babylon 5 franchise, Jeff.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Outside of the novels, I know there's still the novels out there, folks, but I'm talking the what's on screen.
I'm so excited for the second time, but also like it's just sad. Endings are sad. They're new beginnings, but they're also sad.
You know what though? Without the ending, the rest of it wouldn't mean anything.
There you go.
The ending is what gives it all purpose. It's what gives it all worth and value.
Let's talk about that worth and value, Brent. What do you think this movie, Legend of the Rangers, is going to be about?
Well, I feel like this is going to be about the Rangers.
You think maybe?
It's Legends of the Rangers or The Legend of the Rangers?
Just Legend of the Rangers.
Legend of the Rangers. Okay, this could be their origin story.
Confirm that.
It could be their origin story, Jeff. The Legend of the Rangers, but then that would go all the way back to like Valen and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because here's the thing, and this is what's really neat is you could go back and pick a Ranger from any point in history, because we know they didn't just start when Sinclair came back around. They've been around. You could pick any point in history and at which point a Ranger had some awesome adventure that became like a legendary thing and tell that story. Like it could be at any point. So if it's, that's what I'm gonna go with. If it's not the origin story, and I doubt it's the origin story, I think it's just, the legend of Robin Hood, the legend of so-and-so, this is the legend of the Rangers, like, or the legend of the Rangers. He is their Zorro. He's their guy that they look to be awesome. That's not named Valen.
I want it to be Valen, right? And the origin story and everything, but O'Hara's not going to be acting in this. I'm quite sure we're not going to go back. And at first I thought it was going to be just, hey, here's some Rangers, and like we're going to do Ranger stuff, and we're going to talk about our origins and things like that. But as you were talking, totally changing my prediction. Brent, Legend of the Rangers is going to move us into the future. We're going to move to Brother Alwyn.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking that when you said future. Yeah.
We're going to see the Rangers reborn. We're going to actually get a little examination of the world around deconstruction of falling stars.
Interesting.
That's going to be my prediction.
Interesting.
And I need to write that down on a thing so I remember it next week. We'll find out next week what it's going to be. The final, whatever I'm saying. We'll find out next week what it's going to be about. I'm excited. I'm excited for all of you to join us as we do that. Thank you for joining us for this. Thank you for being with us through Crusade. It's been awesome to share this with all of you. If you haven't already, please subscribe. That way you won't miss anything else that we put out. We've got some cool things coming after we get through the first time on this. Leave us a rating and review, do all those things. But the thing I want to specifically ask you to do is to please share this show with someone who's either in love with Babylon 5, in love with Crusade, or someone like Brent and me here need to watch it for the first time. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to close out Crusade. Until next time.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah. What's up?
You know, I heard about you.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you're some kind of big shot, huh? Big brainy guy.
Actually, the term is prodigy. 7 letters, 3 syllables.
Oh, I wouldn't say prodigy.
No?
No. Go with nerd. Nerd. Nerdy, 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 nerd. Nerd.
Indeed.
Nerd.
Nerds.
Geek.
Wow.
Dork.
I was thinking of some other things, but I also know a lot of the other disparaging terms carry weight, an unpleasant weight with people.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
Of the 3 terms, nerd, geek, and dork, which one is the most offensive? What do you think?
I think dork.
I agree. I think it is too. I don't know why. It might be because it's the ugliest of the words.
It is. It just has a dork. Like it just has a stank on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's that hard K at the end. I know geek has that hard K, but it's a softer K. Like there's geek.
It's got the E.
And it's dork. Like, ugh.
Just sounds awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, it's time to put up Club 65.
It is. Here we go.
We're
going to hang
with
out with
our council chambers. Yeah, let's check in with them. There you go.
It's all right. It's all right, Brent. Oh, now you can talk. I love this one from Katerina. Just on that, I'm extremely super excited about you doing B5 for the second time. It's literally a dream coming true for me.
Katerina, I don't know why you're dreaming about me or Jeff watching Babylon 5 for the second time, but I think it's cool that you are, and I'm glad we can make it come true.
I don't understand.
It's actually a dream for us.
Cool.
I've never done a second watch show before.
Like a thing like this?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, Beam Me Up was like a 47th time watch. Stargate's a 47th watch. I mean, it's kind of, but in those you were watching, like this is just watching for the totality of everything, and you had very specific. Like with Stargate, you have a very specific charge.
But I have a very specific goal with Babylon 5 for the second time, though. Like, I'm not just here just to watch it and like have fun and eat some popcorn. No. This is I'm looking for everything that now that we know where it's going, I'm looking for how everything that he does, I mean, from episode 1 has to point towards objects at rest and sleeping in light.
Mm-hmm.
It's all got to get there. And so how does all of this point to that journey, and where does that go? I'm looking forward to being like, Jeff, can you believe that we didn't pick up on Geometry of Shadows and all the foreshadowing that happened? Can you imagine how dumb we were? Like, you know what I'm excited for, Jeff? And I've already decided this. I'm excited for when we get back to late delivery from Avalon. And we have to revisit.
Taste it with the knowledge of what's to come.
No, because here's the thing. You know what I know about that episode? It's a metaphor.
It's not good.
No, it's not good. But everything about that episode is a metaphor. And I going into it knowing that, and I can see the metaphor. I remember the show pretty dang well. You go figure. But I'm really I'm going to give it a fresh chance, a whole new chance, and I'm going to look at it through those eyes of knowing that there's the metaphor there associated with it and see what comes out of it. And I'm kind of excited to get back into an episode like that. And maybe I was wrong.
I like that you're open to that.
Probably not. I was probably right.
Yeah, you were right. But it's good that you're open to being wrong.
Right.
That's a big thing. Ben is on our side here, says Max is his number 3 guy after Gideon and Galen, and this episode is a big reason why.
There you go. There you go. Hey, we spent a lot of time talking about Eilerson's wife.
Oh.
Is Cynthia Allen related to Brent Allen? A distant relative, perhaps? Ben says maybe a great-great-great-granddaughter. I think you might need to add a couple more greats onto that. Probably how many years in the future is the show?
About 200 and what is it, 24 as we record this, so about 260 years.
About 260 years. Okay.
Or 50.
Okay, I can go back to when my family first landed here on the soil here of the United States. And that was about 250 years ago. Was that? Yeah, it was about 250 years ago is when we really got here. So, and I know that grandfather is my 5th great grandfather. So yeah, add 2 more greats and you got it.
And you got it.
Nailed it. You like how I did that math on that?
Suzanne's got a great callback to The Gathering. The Lorcans picking the jewels reminded me of Delenn with her 3 gravities, 4 gravities when she was getting Jakar.
I don't remember that.
She had the gravities ring thing that she got.
Oh, and we never saw it again.
Never again.
Wow.
Never again.
Wow. Let's see here. Oh, so this is back to our conversation of when was the show produced. Sarah says that the show was first aired. It was number 4. Nia says that it was episode 12 of 13 produced. So I don't know if they just went back to the Black Jackets or
maybe I was just wrong where the gray ones were first and then I don't know.
Well, no, because the gray thing was part of the studio thing. Like they wanted
and
them
they
to
did the appearances and other deceits, right?
Yeah.
To explain the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 7 in the OG airing order though. So there you go.
What a mess. Like the whole thing is, I love that it's the last one we watched. Like go out with the great taste, left in our mouths, wanting more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, JMS, if you're ever watching this, dude, I'm so sorry that all that crap happened to you from TNT. Like this was a good show. You had such a good show. Another good show on your hands. You're so good, man.
Some great math by Nia that I actually like quite a bit. Gideon meets Lockley in almost 25% of Crusade episodes.
I love that. I love that. Hey, what do you think would happen here? It'd be cool if Gideon took over B5 after Lockley moved on, because we know that Lockley does move on from Babylon 5 eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it would have been a step down, ? The Sheridan did it. I don't know that it'd be a step down. It'd be a lateral move. Still a captain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Still a captain piece, I would like to see more Gary Cole as Matthew Gideon in whatever
Agreed.
capacity that is. So I could go with that. Okay, let's hear it. Nia posted a picture of the Excalibur with the bridge circled. Thank you, Nia. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's very strategically placed. I like this from Suzanne. An alternate definition to the whole shipping thing.
Uh-huh.
Like A and B characters were meant to be together, but not necessarily in a romantic relationship.
Okay, so let's attack this. And I'm going to go back to Star Trek. I'm going to go back to 2 new Star Trek episodes, and I'm going to point to this. All right. In Discovery, people lost their damn minds round about season 3.
I thought it was like episode 2 that they really collective minds.
No, but what I'm talking about is you had the two people that sat at the front of the ship. You had Owoshikun and you had Detmer. Because they sat next to each other and they gave each other looks every once in a while. People are like, they're a couple. They're a couple. It's like, no, they're not a couple. Stop it. They just sit next to each other while they work.
Sulu and Chekhov made eyes at each other and like, really? Oh my gosh, did you see that?
You know, and here's and Jeff, you and I have had lots of conversations about this offline. I don't know that we've ever talked about this on a microphone before. One of the relationships that I despise
Seven
in
and Rafi.
all of Star Trek is Seven and Rafi.
Agreed.
And it's because it's not, you know, some people, oh, it's because they're girls and they're lesbians. Look, if you think that's the case and you haven't been watching the show, you haven't been watching me or Jeff at all. That's not the case. It's because it wasn't earned at all. And when they came back with it in season 2, they were like already estranged and broken. There was nothing to that relationship that made any sense whatsoever. Nothing.
It was literally like the end of season 1 and she's like, I'm going to hold your hand.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That relationship made less sense and had less buildup than Chakotay and Seven back in the end of Voyager. Which, the best comparison that I have to the Seven and Rafi relationship is Deanna Troi and Worf.
Yeah, that was awful.
Because that was awful.
It was a neat idea that they did more correctly with Worf and Jadzia. Like, hey, let's put Worf with it, but with just literally, it's like, oh yeah, me and Worf were a thing.
You're right.
Bloop.
No, what? You're not a thing, Deanna and Worf. Sorry. Worf trying to go to Riker and like ask him for permission to date her or whatever. Like, come on, dude. That relationship is no. That's bonkers. Dumb. You know what relationship I did like? I like Tom and B'Elanna a lot. Stamets and Hugh.
Yeah.
That was a great,
they were great.
Probably the most family relationship we've seen.
The scene of, and it was in season 1, of them just brushing their teeth together.
Yeah.
I loved it because, like you said, it's very family, but also in the scope of LGBTQ plus relationships on film, it's like, look, it's not all this, they're just people doing people things. And I thought that was so great.
It's always reminiscent. There's a scene, it's a Paul Rudd movie. And I forget who plays the wife in that movie. Probably like Kristen Wiig or something like that. I don't remember who it is. But like they're literally just sitting there like brushing their teeth. Or Mad About You, that couple there, Paul Reiser and who was it? Helen Hunt or someone like that. You know, they're just sitting there brushing their teeth. Like, yeah. Oh. Anyway. But I'm all for the Gideon and Lockley thing and shipping it. Because that one works. It just makes sense. You know, Dylan and Sheridan, great couple. Glad this one didn't get as slow played as that one.
But they worked because of the slow play.
I'll tell you the relationship I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from and really seen what would have happened with it was the Ivanova and
Marcus.
Telepath lady. Talia.
Oh yeah, and Talia.
The Ivanova Talia. Because that was so underplayed. And given the brashness that started with Ivanova and her whole thing about telepaths and stuff like that, because of things that we later found out, like I would have been really interested to see what happened there.
When everyone went in, when Delenn was, after all the season 3 stuff went down, and I forget the name of the episode, but Delenn wanted to do that ritual where people shared a thing and gave a thing or whatever, and they came in and still did it with her. And Ivanova's things was, I think I was in love with her.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot there. We're talking about the size of the Excalibur earlier, and Ben's just two guys talking about the size of their ship.
Ben, you're my kind of people, dude. You're my kind of people. Sarah's here with you, Jeff. She's an anti-shipper as well. Tends to ruin the show. Right. I'm for it as long as they earn it. But to just throw people together, like, come on. Come on.
Okay, people are saying there's quite a few on here. Mr. Kitty apparently was JMS's cat that passed away.
Oh.
In memory of Mr. Kitty,
Yeah.
now chasing star mice.
Oh, go Mr. Kitty. Jeff, Sarah also missed the sandwich callback, so good job.
That's what I bring to the table.
There you go. Next time, could you bring the actual sandwich
to
the table?
That looks good. Yeah.
You know,
I haven't eaten this evening yet, so I'm hoping there's something good downstairs. I Sloppy Joe, that comes to mind thinking about that. That was so gross, but like,
how did that ever become a food item that people ate? My grandmother used to make that like every couple weeks.
I bet it was a Great Depression thing. Probably.
Maybe. Yeah. Imagine if Crusade Nia says could have afforded someone to do fight choreography.
For real.
Okay, here we go.
So
Suzanne talks about North by Northwest. Train into a tunnel. I don't know exactly what this is really fully about, but I will. Oh, probably special effects or something. I will tell you, and I will stand by this. North by Northwest is Alfred Hitchcock's best film.
Yeah, you think?
Absolutely. I will stand by that. I will die on that hill. North by Northwest is his best film. So good. Oh, hey, here we go.
Yeah.
We get a little thing here. Excalibur is roughly 1.85 miles long.
Okay.
Interesting. So little under half. Little between 2/3 and half of the size of Babylon 5 is lengthwise anyway.
Oh, there's two great ones here. Quote, Max Eilerson. That's all right. Max Eilerson is what so many men should be, unquote. Go back in time and show this video to Jeff's self watching the first episode of Crusade. Touche. And a great one here. Bit upset that Jeff didn't call him Vince McMahon in the recap. Again.
I'm glad you waited for that comment though. Did you? Okay. Did you call him out as Vince McMahon in your watch video? Because I haven't watched it. Did you?
Oh, right. Like the second I saw him, I'm like, that's Vince McMahon.
That's funny. Did you guys talk about that in Red Sector? Did you guys talk? Did anybody connect that Jeff and I both thought that? Because that's funny. I know I said it.
There's a lot of conversation.
A lot of stuff.
Him being Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Nia, I disagree. All cats are cute.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. You know, it's the cool thing about opinions. Everyone can have them. Oh man, another reason for JMS to hate us. They called JMS's cat ugly. He had better never watch this one.
Is that his actual cat?
I think so. Well, I don't know if that picture. Pictures? I bet it was. I'll bet it was.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not a cat guy. I'm just not.
I'm not either. I met a person many years ago, and she loved cats. From Go, she introduced herself and she's like, "Look, I love cats. That's my thing." And I was like, "Well, there's two types of people in this world. There are dog people, and then there are people that are wrong." And then she said, "Yeah, well, cats rule and dogs drool." And immediately I knew that she and I were going to be cool.
All right, I like. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, I love the conversation here. I love like they're just talking to each other over here in the chat. So it's like,
just being friends. Hey, listen,
people got to get here. People got to come to this thing. Like, this is great.
Listen, sign up for Council Chambers. Come in. You get to hang out with Jeff and I. You get to hang out with I don't know, what is there, like 25 people or so in that group right now? You get to hang out with 20 and like we're all getting to know each other and becoming friends. Like these people, we know these people. You know what I mean? Like, it's really cool. I like what Ben says here. He says, "I'm excited because the second watch was my favorite Babylon 5 experience, but no other reaction or podcast has gone there until now." Yes, Jeff, we're going first on something. And it's pretty fun. I think you and I have talked about that. Like, I don't think anybody's ever done a second watch podcast. Why would you ever do that?
Yeah.
Well, we actually have a good
Babylon
reason
5.
to do it now. Yeah.
That's why. Brent, this might be the best comment ever that completely describes what this Babylon 5 for the first time has been. Suzanne says, B5 changed these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And look, here's the thing. And I'll say this. We got an email this past week and I was typing out the response to that. And I was just going, I was reminded of how you and I went on a journey in the same way that the characters in this show went on a journey. And in some ways, our journey mirrored their journey in ways. Like you and I started in a place, right? We started in a place of these, and I'll say it. We were rather haughty. Star Trek is the best. How are you going to measure up to Star Trek? Right. Let's see if you actually have messages. Because if you don't have I was listening to a podcast today. Somebody's like, what I like about Star Trek is it's all about the messages and it's this and it's that. And that's what makes Star Trek Star Trek. And you and I were both there. I'm like, we got to see if you can do that. And then there were times where you liked us and you felt for us. And then there were times where we were like, yeah, this sucks and this is awful. And we pissed you off and we turned heel. And then there were times where Jeff was good and Brent was bad. And then there were other times where Brent was tolerable and Jeff was trying to be bad, but you guys just would not because he was the golden child. Like there's nothing Jeff could say that was wrong.
I threw some stuff out there. It was just like, oh, this is going to get him. And you're like, how did they not freak out on this?
Right. And then, but in the middle, what you saw us coming around. And then like, there'd be times where like, hey, it looks like Brent and Jeff are starting to turn a corner, and then nope, not turning a corner. We're right back to where we were. And then by the time we get to the end, Jeff, you and I are so hardcore on this Babylon 5 thing right now. Like even the worst episodes are still like watchable, except for that one, which is the long night or whatever, that one in season 2 with Franklin doing weird stuff, like,
Well, I'll say this. I have more Babylon 5 t-shirts in my closet than I do Star Trek.
Jeff, I got to tell you, I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a Star Trek episode that wasn't a brand new episode airing this week.
Really?
Yep. Because for the last couple of years of my life, this has been the show.
Right, that's true.
Like
I think that's the thing too for both of us.
Much else. Like
between this, Stargate, our other reactions like Timeless.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of time for other TV.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and because even like when I just lay down to like go to sleep and I'm gonna throw something on like a comfort show, it's been here. Let me check this thing out for Stargate coming up here with Jeff. Or whatever.
Not reading this one, just putting this here for you to call it out.
One thing I want for the second time is for them to re-rank the episodes, but not look back at where they ranked them the first time. A ranking. I don't know. We haven't discussed exactly what the segments or format's going to be with all of that. Re-ranking the episodes.
Weeks yet.
I feel like we should rank the episodes, and we rank them this time without doing the whole Starfury, Delta Fury. Thing. Just where is the episode? Like,
last comment I want to throw up here is from Katerina. And I love this because like you just talked about our journey and Katerina's helping chart that here. She says, I remembered how it felt. I'm having a hard time reading today. I don't know what it is. I remembered how it felt like when you started to fall in love with B5. I think it was an episode written by DC Fontana. Didn't take long at all, and I loved noticing this moment. Someone else pointed this out. Either it was an email or a comment somewhere, but this is the war prayer.
There's an email we got.
Okay. There's an email. Oh, yeah. Babylon5first@gmail.com. The number 5 in the word first. But it really was this episode, I think, that we started to turn the corner.
But that's it. It wasn't like we just turned the corner and we stayed there. Like, we slipped back a few times and we came back up. And, you think about like the story of Londo, like, man, Londo seems like he's cool. Oh, no, wait, actually, Londo's a piece of crap. And oh my God, he's so awful. What's going on? There's no redemption for this. Okay, actually, Londo's kind of turning corner. No, Londo's the worst again. And like, and by the end, you're like, dude, Londo's sacrificing himself for these guys. Like, he's great.
I said last one, but I got one more. And
okay.
Then we've been here almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
I find I don't have a lot of time for other shows beyond watching Jeff and Brent.
Look at that, Suzanne.
So sweet.
You're awesome. I love that. I love that. It's so crazy to me when people are like, yeah, we've like binged your whole show. And I'm like, that's like 150, 175 hours of content. Like,
it's a lot of us talking.
That's a lot of us. And listen, I'm glad you're here for every moment of it. You know,
totally.
glad you're here. You guys are, we wouldn't do this without you guys. And Jeff, I'm going to say this. I've been saying this recently, and I say this, I'm going to mean this, and I'm going to say this directly to you guys there at the council chambers. Jeff and I would not be here doing this right now if it wasn't for you guys doing what you guys do. Like, we would have got to the end and we would have pulled the plug and been like, okay, we're done. Yeah. You know, but because you guys are there, you guys are supporting, you guys are doing your thing, we continue to do this show. So thank you guys so much for jumping in, supporting the show. You literally are making the show go. You're literally making the show go. And hopefully you guys have seen that too. So
I hope so. I'm very, I was say I am, but I'm going to speak for you, Brent. I know it's true because we talk about it all the time. It's so humbling that we're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we're just two dudes talking about old TV shows, and we talk about it a lot. There's a community that's built up around it.
Yeah.
Bigger than you or me, but it just blows my mind. And I'm so grateful and humbled by each and every one of you here in the council chambers, and all of you watching here on YouTube. I mean, if you're in Club 65, you're here, you are in. And wow. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. So with that, Jeff, I think it's time for us to get out of here for tonight and close this bad boy up. Hey, listen, we're right back next week with Legends of the Rangers. Legend of the Rangers or Legends?
The Legend of the Rangers. I've started working on the
okay.
The opening.
That's got to be the origin story. If it's the Legend of the Rangers, it's got to be the origin story, doesn't it?
Well, that or the future, because it's a legend of what's going to happen.
Or it's like their entire past. Like it's a movie that's about their whole thing, like from conception, like what they've like. So it's Brother Alwyn in the future telling the story of the Rangers from Valen all the way up to where they got there now.
It's gonna be like one of the Doctor Who stories that brings all the doctors together.
Something like that. Yeah.
Which I'd be all right with.
Sure. Bring it all together. So, but with that, hey, if there's any questions about how that's going to work, Jeff and I don't know, Jeff, I guess it's okay to say it, at least to this group, if you're still watching at this point, right. We are going to be doing those movies together.
That's right.
We've made the decision that for the rest of for these last 3 movies, we're going to do them together, much in the way that we did Sleeping in Light and we do Stargate. So, we'll be doing that. Stay tuned. That means you're not getting necessarily the individual reaction videos. Jeff and I have a plan for what that'll look like. So stay tuned. And we'll roll that out as soon as we're ready to talk about all that. So guys, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. And
you are.
Until next time, see you guys. Where's the end stream button?